morning, and will be a yin and somatics class. The somatics refers to the work that we do where we feel sensations, we feel the effects of our movements and our being from the inside out. So we move really slowly because it is also a process of neuromuscular re-education. I don't know if that was a succinct enough description. Somebody's asked me for a single sentence of how would you describe somatics. I'll work on that. And the yin practice is as much a mental practice referring to the internal aspects of the practice, and also physical practice where we hold the postures for a longer period of time. And both of these aspects of today's practice will influence the body in helping to open the body and release tension, but also mental, because it is a meditative practice where we're slowing down, tuning our awareness into a single pointed focus, and we're letting ourselves relax into the support of the earth. So it's very grounding, and heaven knows we can use a bit of that these days. So the focus of our practice today will be the lung and intestine meridians and the heart. It's always a full body practice, but I always like to plant a seed for you to focus on a particular benefit, which I hope will come as a result of the practice. And we stimulate the energy meridians through the extension, the lengthening, and the contraction of our soft tissue. So it's kind of like a massage, it's like acupressure for the meridians. So we'll be, those meridians are centered in the upper part of the body in particular, starting in the fingers and going up the arms, usually into the center of the chest or up into the throat. So as you move, just think about, adding a little extra awareness to your movement as massage. And these organs are also responsible for taking in of nutrients, and I consider oxygen as being one of our important nutrients, and also elimination of the byproducts. So it's good to stimulate heart, lungs, and intestines. So let's start the physical practice by coming to lie on the back with your head towards the center of the room, towards me, if you wouldn't mind. And we always begin this practice by becoming more centered within ourselves. And coming to lie down on the ground is very centering, very settling. So give yourself a little time to arrive here as we let go of the postural muscles that hold us up, right? Sometimes we can find that there's a little tenderness, hopefully no painfulness, and if you do encounter pain at any point in this practice, please adjust your position so that you're more comfortable. So if your legs are extended along the floor and your low back is still talking loudly to you, then by all means bend your knees and bring your feet to stand on the floor. So allow your mind to settle. And just even listening to my voice, let my voice come to you rather than you kind of reaching your hearing out towards me. So let it be a very passive wave-like action of my voice rolling towards you. So the ears soften and relax. The eyes deepen. You can have your eyes closed. The face softens and the forehead broadens. I really like the idea of just even letting the brain settle towards the back of the skull. so that you have this extra feeling of space behind the forehead. So just take a moment to let your inner gaze come up to that place behind the forehead. The seat of wisdom, the seat of our inner teacher. And just take a moment to acknowledge that intelligence that's within each of us. And then let your awareness just drift down to the jaw and relax the jaw a little, maybe open the mouth slightly and let the jaw move a little side to side, up and down, and maybe even in a little circular motion. Taking this opportunity to refine your movement so that it's slower and slower. That's the refinement process. Smaller and more subtle. Many of us are quite goal-orientated, so we want to get, move, and do to the nth degree straight away. So can you dial things back to make it easier and less effortful, so that subtleties of sensation will come to you more clearly. And then with your head resting even more heavily into the floor, can you just let your head just fall to one side? Just let the face turn to one side. And then slowly, even more slowly, bring it back to center. And then over to the other side, so that you can really get a sense of one part of that movement being a letting go, and the other part of the movement is an engagement of muscles to bring the head back. So through this practice of Somatics, we really focus on the muscular contraction and then its release, which is a little different from a lot of yoga practices in particular, where we really focus on the stretching aspect, tend to. So do one more roll to each side, and can you let go of your jaw to the extent that you feel a drifting of the jaw from side to side, and it might be a millimeter or two or more. This is a practice that I've tried to remember to use as I come to bed to sleep at night, just to really refine my feeling of relaxation around my face so that the jaw is really more free. So then let your head come back to center and feel the weight of your head supported by the floor. So relaxing for the neck, that works so hard for us. And then feel the shoulders and acknowledge the weight of each shoulder and the weight of each side of the pelvis. And I'd like you just to notice any asymmetries that come up for you in terms of the experience of each side of the body as it compares to the other side. And the weight of the legs, the weight of the arms, and I'd like you to just take in a breath now. Breathe in as though you could send the essence of the breath to slide all the way down the whole front of the spine, all the way down to the very end of the tailbone, so that the inhalation is in a full body breath. And then the exhalation, you can just imagine that breath sliding up the full length of the spine. Do a few more of these, breathing in all the way down to down the curves of the spine to the tip of the tailbone. And if you like, you can let the breath do a kind of U-turn at the back and slide up the back curves of the spine, all the way up the back of the neck and head and around the crown of the head to come back to end the exhalation at the nostrils. This is an elliptical breath, so just play with that maybe 3 times. Enjoy that roller coaster ride of up and around the curves of your body, your torso. And with each cycle, can you let it be a little easier, a little softer, a little more subtle with its intention? Riding the wave of the breath. And when you're ready, without rushing, you can bring your feet to standings using the pinky toe slide. That works for you today, just nice and lazy attitude. Bring the feet to stand about hips width apart in a position relative to the pelvis where the spine, the low back especially, feels relaxed. And then feel your foot triangle, those 3 points under the big toe mound, pinky toe mound, and the center of the heel. And just check in side to side with your feet and see whether you're planting your weight equally. And then with that awareness, can you just begin to rock your feet to the left and to the right so you feel that massage of those 3 points of contact. So you can feel that one foot rocks to its pinky toe side, the other side to its big toe side, back and forth. And can you give equal massage to each of those 3 points? Equal weight. And then that point at the back heel point is also having a nice massage. You think about with every step that you take, there's a heel strike. So this point will really appreciate this nice massage. And then bring your feet back to standing, the knees are pointed up. And then lift your 10 toes, keeping the ball of the foot on the floor. Lift your 10 toes up away from the floor. Feel the contraction of the muscles at the top of the foot. And then slowly let your toes drift back down to land softly on the floor. See if you can maintain that foot triangle on each side. And then do that again, just that contraction of the top of the feet. And then let your toes drift down. When we bear weight equally over those, the ball of the foot points, it also sends weight transfer up to the knee joint and the hip joint. Even as we're lying here, there's an interrelationship with the soft tissues all the way up. So it's kind of an important practice here to enforce that. Because when we're walking around and we have some muscular contraction somewhere in the body, it might not necessarily, feet might not necessarily be able to land in that way all the time. So then bring your, keep your elbows on the floor and bring your hands to rest in the low belly region. We'll take a couple of breaths into the belly, so diaphragmatic breath, breathing in, down, sending the essence of the breath down to the belly, so you feel the belly rise under the hands, and then on the exhalation, sink under the hands, and then draw the belly in towards the spine a little, so you feel the contraction of the belly under the hands. So more subtly this time, breathing in, inflating the belly, And letting the muscular fibers relax and spread open, belly rises. And then on the exhalation, that releases slowly, and then you move into the next phase of contraction of the belly. As you draw the belly in, it helps to expel the breath. You'll feel the belly firming under the hands, and then that release back to center. So really, in your mind, can you differentiate those two parts of inhalation and belly muscles release? Coming back through center, acknowledge that center point before you move into the next phase of contraction of the belly muscles. And then the release from there. So it's the release, that phase of the movement is where the brain takes in the information about being able to fully relax. There's information about the full contraction without straining, and then the ability to slowly release, and that's where the magic happens. So now let's bring the awareness to the back side of the torso. And you might like to take your hands now to the waistline, so the fingers span towards the front of the torso, the thumbs towards the back. And the waistline area is referred to as the somatic center. So from here we'll inhale and gently arch the low back at the level of your hands away from the floor, just so you can feel the muscular contraction along the spine, alongside each side of the spine. And then slow release, so you'll feel those muscles letting go, and then take a moment's pause. And then let your low back flatten softly into the floor, so you'll feel those muscles completely relax. And then let that go so that the spine comes back to its neutral starting point. So it's a gentle curve away from the floor. So differentiate those phases now. Take in a breath, arch the low back away from the floor. Feel what's contracting, how far down the spine and how far up the spine. Can you feel that? And then that slow release back through neutral, and then complete release as you allow your low back to flatten softly into the floor. So just do one more, really feeling that muscular, those two phases of muscular contraction and release on the back side of the body. And is your head and neck and jaw so relaxed that as you move the lowest part of your spine, that the uppermost part of your spine is also moving as a result, and your head is nodding, maybe just a little, or maybe more. So see if you can connect and allow that wave-like action to move from the base of your spine, which you might feel pressing into the floor more firmly as you arch. And then as you move through this arch and flatten movement of the whole low back, that you can feel that maybe your head is also pressing a little more firmly into the floor through one of the phases of the movement. And then you can release your arms down along your sides, just away from your body enough so that you have a little air through the armpit area. Stand your hands on their pinky side edge, so the arms are quite straight but not locked straight. And your hands are standing so the thumbs are pointed up, ready for hitchhiking along your sides. And I'd like you now to arch your low back away from the floor and allow your palms to fall open towards the ceiling. Chin is moving towards the chest, perhaps you'll notice. And then exhale, Flatten the low back into the floor, flatten the belly in towards the spine, let the arms roll up and then around to rest the palms down onto the floor. Chin lifts up. Inhale, arch the low back away from the floor, arms roll like a couple of rolling pins. Allow the palms to turn up towards the ceiling. Feel the shoulder blades a little more firmly into the floor. And then exhale, flatten the belly, flatten the low back, flatten the palms, and allow the chin to lift up. Do that a couple of times more. Inhaling, seeing if you can develop that 360-degree awareness, front, back of the body, top and bottom. A bit of a challenge first thing in the morning. But you'll find that if you really, really relax into the movement of the spine, that the arms actually just will move in those directions naturally, especially if there's relaxation around the upper body, around the face, the neck, the throat, the arms. So do one more and see if you can let the inhalation move you so that it's the breath sliding down the whole front of the body and expanding in its center and causing an expansion and an opening to happen through the arms as well. And then spread the fingers, radiate the fingers. And then exhale and flatten the low back, flatten the belly, palms come down, and then press the palms into the floor more firmly. So we're just a little extra stimulation for those meridians. One more time, so letting the fingers express. Maybe the way I've suggested or in a way that's meaningful for you, but radiate the fingers on the inhalation. Open up, and then exhale. And it's pressing the low back into the floor, the belly draws in, and the palms press down. Maybe you'll feel the shoulder blades lift up. And then let that go. Now let the arms rest on the floor, and we'll just do a couple of explorations here of snow angel sweeps of the arms along the floor, keeping the arms in contact with the floor completely. So it's not about getting the arms up high or any sort of goal in mind, any endpoint in mind. Breathing the arms up and then exhaling them down. Can you have the floor support your arms completely? So a lot of the muscles that you use to lift the arms up, to move your arms through space, are able to relax. And then you can really get a sense of the symmetry or asymmetry in the movement of your arms. One side is compared to the other. Notice if your wrists are lifting up and away from the floor as you slide your arms up. That's called cheating a little bit, to try to get the arms up a little more. Just really relax. Get an internal picture for yourself. And then we'll take the arms back down. Oh, actually keep them up, sorry. And so take them behind your head to interlace behind your head. I'll just lead you through a couple of arch and curls just to really open up the muscles, the pectoral muscles a little more. So you're just waking up in the morning. You're going to take in a breath and arch the low back away from the floor. Elbows are heavy. You might even press your shoulder blades into the floor a little more. And then exhale and flatten the low back into the floor. Bring the elbows to point up towards the ceiling. And then curl up with the head, neck, and shoulders up to feel your upper abdominal muscles contracting. Good morning, 6-pack, 8-pack, family pack. And then lower down and let your head come down, your elbows come down, and everything relax down. Bring your feet together now so your inner knees and inner feet are touching, and let your knees fall open. We call this Chakala Asana. laying on the beach in Mexico, and that heat is coming, radiating down, warming up our bones and our joints, and we're laying on that golden sand. Oh yes. Inhale, breathe into the belly, arch the low back gently away from the floor. Elbows and shoulders press downwards if that feels good. On the exhalation, flatten the lower belly and point the elbows up, the knees up, and then curl up without pulling on the head. Let the abdominal muscles become more supple, stronger. Release tension, and then lower down and release down, and let the elbows open and the knees open. This is a variation of the flower, so you can imagine your favorite flower. And inhale, arch the low back away from the floor, everything's open. Exhale, flatten the low back, flatten the belly, bring the elbows and knees as close towards one another as possible. Squeeze into your center, curl yourself up into a little C, press the knees together, and then relax. And let yourself go. Take one breath down, and this time really breathe in. Send the essence of the breath down to that little trampoline that forms your pelvic floor. Strung between your pubic bone, your bones and the tailbone and the two sitting bones. And on the exhalation, a little subtle rebound effect as the breath slides up and out. Let's do one more, breathing in, and imagine the breath, the essence of the breath landing on the center of that little trampoline, and then rebounding that energy all the way up. And then bring your knees up, your elbows in, and curl up, and seal that little ball of energy right into your core, and allow yourself to come back down to land. Keep the knees pointed up. Take a moment. So we've done a lot of flexion and extension movements of the center line of our body. We've compressed, contracted, and released a lot of the soft tissues on the front and the back of the torso. So let's roll over onto the right side and try to make this as easy a movement as possible, as effortless as possible, like you're just rolling over in bed. Use your lower arm as a pillow for your head so you're nice and comfy. And then bring your top arm to rest on the top sideline of your body. I really like sliding the back of my hand down to the sacrum just to check, is my pelvis truly in a sideline position? Stack the knees up one on top of another. Bring the knees up nice and high. The lower legs are brought forward so you can just about see your toes peeking over the horizon of your knees. And we'll start with that top arm resting on that top sideline, and we're going to just take that top shoulder, and the hand staying where it is, just slide that top shoulder forward, and then let it rebound back to neutral slowly. Let's do that again. So slowly, deliberately take it forward, always within your comfort zone. And then let it rebound back. Just let that elastic quality of the muscles bring the shoulder back to where it started. We'll do that one more time. So slide the shoulder forward. You'll feel the muscles towards the front of the chest contract. At the back of the shoulder girdle, they're lengthening, and then slowly release that shoulder back. Now, is that movement smooth and effortless on both the contraction and release phase, or is there some jerkiness, shakiness? Now really try not to move your rib cage. Try to just let the shoulder, soft tissues, move the shoulder and arm. And then back. Take a moment's pause. And now, keeping the rib cage quiet, we're going to slide that top shoulder back. You'll feel the muscles at the front of the chest lengthening, relaxing. The back side of the shoulder girdle is contracting. And then let the shoulder drift back. We'll do 2 more of those, sliding back. Muscles around the shoulder blade are contracting, drawing that shoulder blade closer towards the spine. And then let the elastic qualities of the shoulder spring back, rebound back to where it started. 3 times is really all we need to get quite a lot of information about a particular movement and its ease, and also to ask yourself, does one phase of that movement feel more familiar to you? Is it forward, it just feels really easy, or is it back, or do they have an equal ease forward and back? One more time, take it all the way forward. Without moving the rib cage, it's not about getting further, it's about refining the movement through center and back. When we have muscular tension, the brain will want to give you your full range of motion by asking one of the neighboring structures to get in there too and help with the movement. So if you have tightness front or back of the shoulder, you may find your whole rib cage is involved in making this very simple movement happen, and that's a lot of extra energy and wear and tear. So we really want to be able to let the muscles responsible for doing a particular movement be really supple and strong and functional. So this is all information for you. So then relax your arm, and you can let it rest elsewhere if you like. And we're going to bring the awareness down now to the pelvic region. And I'd like you to slide your top knee forward. Your pelvis will come along, but let it be comfortable. And then let it rebound back. Slide forward without strain or pain. Does that wing of your pelvis move easily in this range of motion? So if you're wearing yoga pants, that's really nice because they're pretty slippery. After you've done 2 or 3 of these and you get a sense of your range of motion there, ease of movement, then move that top knee backwards, slide it back. These are small movements. And then let it rebound. See if you can keep your rib cage quiet and just let the pelvis swing forward and back. You get way more swingability if you allow your whole torso to act like a big barrel rolling. But can you let the muscles from the waistline down, from your somatic center down, be functional here? And is there one of these phases of movement that feels easier for you or more difficult? Then go forward. Let your knees spring back. Just acknowledge that point, and then let the knees slide back and let it rebound forward. Let's do a couple of those just so you can get a sense. And is your rib cage rolling? If your shoulder and is rolling along forward and back as your knee is sliding forward and back, you're using your whole torso to move your knee. So then come back to a neutral position, and we're going to take the shoulder and the knee movement in opposition to one another, which is what's meant to happen when we're walking. So that top arm resting on your top sideline. Take your shoulder forward as your knee goes back. Doesn't have to be a big movement. Millimeters is just fine. And then come back to neutral. And then the shoulder swings back as the knee swings forward. Can you feel this nice massaging action at your somatic center, at the sideline? So go forward and back. Shoulder goes forward, knee goes back. And maybe do a couple more and make it smaller and more subtle, but more kind of synchronistic. You're moving those two parts of your body in opposition, but to maybe the same degree, a similar degree of movement or sensation or something, so they feel like they're online together. And then allow yourself to come back to rest, knee on knee. And we'll take that top arm and wrap it around the crown of the head so that the forearm forms like a headband right over the crown of the head, and you're just reaching around the crown so you're holding onto your lower ear. And we're going to reach that top leg down now so that it's reaching down in line with the upper body towards the bottom of your mat. Check to see you're still in a perfect sideline position. The two shoulders are stacked one over the other. And then just roll that top side forward a little. There you go. We're going to do a side bend now just to really integrate this movement. So inhale and imagine that whole top sideline expanding on the inhalation. On the exhalation, bring the two knees to stack one on top of another. Glue your knees together. And then lift your head as you lift your foot away from the floor and come into a side bend. Knees stay glued together. And then slowly release down. Inhale, reach that top leg all the way down. Expand that sideline. Let it be from elbow tip all the way to the pinky toe. And then on the exhalation, slide the knees together, glue the knees, and lift the head, lift the foot, and contract that whole sideline in an easeful way. And then maybe one more, landing down. Make sure that your lower legs are still forward so that you can still see your toes over the horizon of your knees. Do one more, just with a lot of pleasure, less technique, just inhaling length, and exhaling and contracting. Knees stay glued together. And then relax. We'll take the two palms forward, one on top of another. Let the head just rest on the floor. We're going to slide that top hand forward. Let the head roll forward, the rib cage roll forward. And then slide that top hand up along the forearm to the elbow, to the lower shoulder, across the collarbones to that other same side shoulder. Reach the arm out at the elbow, radiate out through the fingers, and then one more time, bend the elbow, hand to the same side shoulder, slide all the way across. Really let your hands slide down the palm, past the palm, let the face roll, the rib cage participate, and then one more time, slide luxuriously up and across. Feel the body all the way across. Let the hand radiate out, open up the fingers, radiate the fingers, and we'll pause here now. You may need to lift that top knee away from the lower knee in order to allow your left shoulder blade to rest on the floor. You can also rest your left hand on your shoulder if that feels better. But if possible, bring yourself into a resting twist position. So adjust your leg position, your arm position, so that you can rest here for a moment and just allow this stillness, this yin opening to reinforce this feeling of release, spaciousness. Breath moves freely. Let the mind relax and the face relax. And you let your brain feel as though it's so relaxed that it's just puddling in towards the back of the head, and you still have that really nice feeling of spaciousness behind the forehead. Can you hear your inner teacher? Sure that what you do here and away from here resonate with what your inner teacher is telling you. That's deep wisdom. Let's take a couple of breaths here. Really feel on this left side of the rib cage that as you breathe in, the ribs are flowering open. And as you exhale, they close. It's like a massage for this entire left lung. As you spread your ribs open, the lungs are also being pulled along. And just for a moment, consider that as there's this mechanical action happening with the rib cage on this left side, as you're lying in this position, the right side of the chest is relaxed, and the diaphragm on the right side is able to move more freely. So while your left lung is being kind of pulled and drawn a little wider and more spacious that way, the right lung is moving downwards more freely. It's a party going on in there. So now let's lift that top knee away from the bottom knee and bring yourself very gently up to lie on your back once again. It's pretty cool in here, isn't it, eh? Turn the heat up a little bit. And take a moment now to feel your whole body. If you can extend the legs out along the floor, that's good. If that feels like too strong, then knees bent, and get a sense of your whole left side of your body. There's a dotted line down the middle. Compare it to how the right side of the body feels. And if you encounter any additional feelings of spaciousness or openness, breathe into that, memorize that feeling so you can use that experience to inform the other parts of your body that don't feel that. And then send that information to the parts of your body that don't feel as good, as light, whatever your experience is. A nice easy breath in through the nose and out slowly through pursed lips. toes, slide your feet up to standing. Snow angel the arms up to about shoulder height, so you really feel that the arms are giving you your support. Allow the palms to spin upwards if you can, so the shoulder blades, can you get the sense that they're like a couple of suction cups on the floor here? And so with this support, just let your head and roll from side to side and let the legs sway from side to side. In opposition, see if you can synchronize the degree of movement of the head and the legs. Can you feel your jaw sliding side to side? And the next time the legs are over towards the left, roll yourself all the way up and across over onto your left side. Come into that perfect side lying position. Use your lower arm as a pillow. Draw the knees up nice and high. Lower legs are forward. This position of the legs enables the front and the back of the legs to be equally relaxed. Lay the top arm along the top side of the body, and we'll do that forward and back movement. We're going to take the shoulder forward without moving the rib cage. The head shouldn't be rolling, the rib cage shouldn't be rolling. Feel the contraction towards the front of the shoulder, the pectoral muscles, and then let the shoulder rebound slowly back to where it started. We'll do that twice more. Try to really not be moving into autopilot here. Since it's a familiar movement, it's easy for the mind to go off and start doing other things. Does this side feel different than the other side? Does this forward movement feel really easy, familiar? And what's the quality of the movement? When you've done a few explorations in that direction, really think about stabilizing your rib cage, because this movement is a little more difficult. To take the shoulder backwards and slide the shoulder blade towards the spine. Can feel like a pat of butter sliding along your back, and then let it spring back. A few times. Really feel the shoulder blade and all the muscles contracting on the back of the body. And then spring it back. So, ironically, where you tend to harbor tension, muscular tension, that direction of movement is going to feel more like home. Until we really can get a sense of our muscular tension patterns, it's really hard to undo them. And then do a couple where you're doing the full movement all the way back and all the way forward. If you anchor your wrist, so your wrist is not rolling, your arm is not rolling, you can really isolate into the shoulder a lot more. And is there part of that movement that is kind of ratchety? That ratchety, shaky, quaky movement is really showing us that there are some muscle fibers there that really aren't participating to the degree that they could. They're kind of gone offline. And then allow yourself to let your shoulder come to rest. And you can release the arm from the side if that feels good for you. And we'll do the knee slides now. So the knees are stacked, the feet, and the pelvis. And we're going to slide forward. Let's just go twice forward. So within your comfort zone, keep your rib cage nice and quiet. So you could, if you feel like you're moving, take your top hand to your somatic center so you can feel that the rib cage is on vacation. See if the soft tissues below the hand are moving, but the rib cage is as quiet as possible. So your movement might be a lot less all of a sudden. Remember, it's not the goal, it's not bigger and more, it's more subtle, more profound. Forward and then back. You can get that idea of the somatic center when you're walking being relatively the still point, where the shoulders and shoulder girdle and the pelvic girdle are kind of swinging, like they have kind of like a pendulum swing around that center point. That's how it's meant to happen. We have this space of between the bottom of the rib cage and the top of the pelvic girdle that's kind of empty space. There's no bony connection there except for the spine, which is meant to be like the spiral, facilitate the spiraling action through your center. And then you get that swing action happening, which facilitates and powers your walk. And then let it all go. And we'll come to reach that top arm up and over the crown of the head. Let the forearm be like a headband right over the pinnacle of the head. Chin is lifted off of the chest. Think about the front and the back of your neck being free and open. We're working with the sideline here. Reach that top leg straight down and take in a breath and let that breath open up that top sideline in yawn-like fashion. On the exhalation, slide the knees back together, the feet back together. Keep the knees glued together, lift the head, lift the top foot, and contract into your sideline, nice side bend. And then slowly as you can, release. Make sure that you're moving in a perfect side bend. You can turn your head slightly if you like to get a different part of the muscle, but inhale, reach that top leg down and reach that top elbow up, open up that sideline, and then exhale, slide the knees together with the head, lift the foot, and bring the armpit and that top wing of the pelvis closer together. And slowly release down. Do one more just from the point of view of sheer pleasure of inhaling, lengthening, and exhaling and contracting. Let it all go. Completely relax. Moment's pause in the seed. Letting the awareness drop inwards. And can you appreciate there's kind of an energetic shift when we're moving? Even slow movement is stimulating to the nervous system. And then we rest in stillness, and then there's that nice contrast there. And let's take the two palms forward, one on top of another. Now if you need some support under your knees or between your knees, you could put that in there now. probably have some information from side one. Slide that top palm forward, let the head and the rib cage roll, and then slide the top palm back, trail up the arm across the collarbones to the same side shoulder, and let the arm open, radiate the fingers, and then bring that top and back to the same side shoulder. Slide across, and you can let the head come along for the ride, reaching forward, yawning open the back side of the body, and then all the way open once again. Really trail across and open the arm. Some energy meridians are, again, have thumb and pinky finger. And you can do one more if you like, if you're liking the movement, or you can come into your still point in the open twist when you're ready. And enjoy the whole spectrum of the movement, of the experience. And as you extend your arm out, adjust the position of your lower body so that your shoulder girdle can come to rest. And it might mean that your top hand is on your top shoulder instead of extended out. Your knees may be pointed more up towards the ceiling than towards being close to the floor. Just accommodate so you can really feel supported in this nice open position. You can let your bones feel really heavy, supported fully by the floor. Put your head in a position that's comfortable. If your head is falling towards the side, can you allow your jaw to also fall in that direction? So you might have your head feel comfortable rolling towards the right side. But if that doesn't feel comfortable, bring your head to a place where you can let your jaw fall. So it might be the same side direction as your legs. And that still point, mental spaciousness. Use the breath. That 360-degree awareness of breathing in, feeling the right ribs span open and closed. And then the left side is lengthening. And let all mental focus go and allow yourself just to be right here, right now for a moment. Pure experience. And prepare to come out of the pose by bending up that right elbow, bringing it to the shoulder if it's not there already, and sliding your way over to lie on your side once again. So that moment of pure experience is what we're looking for in the practice of meditation, and it's pretty challenging because You might get a moment, second, if you're lucky, of pure experience before the mind goes somewhere. But just really treasure those moments of pure stillness and experience. You become more familiar. The brain loves them, really. Our system loves it. Our inner teacher loves it. And then roll over onto your belly and come to the prone position. Maybe take crocodile, stacking the forearms if that feels good for you. Might like to bend your knees, sway your legs from side to side. It's always nice to go from stillness to movement, movement to stillness. And then let your legs extend out towards the bottom corners of your mat. Let your heels fall outwards. See how that feels for your pelvis. And then roll your legs so your heels fall inwards and see how that feels. So that changes the position of the sacroiliac joint. So if there's any sensitivity there, just maybe let your pubic bone feel a little heavier so that you feel a little more grounded, and you'll feel that the pelvic stabilizing muscles also kick in a little. You don't want any gripping there, but you want this to feel nice and stable. And then roll your legs in and out, and can you feel how that changes the position of your SI joints? You might feel it, you might not. But choose a position for your legs that feels nice for you as you come into your version of the Sphinx pose. Pelvis is nice and heavy, and we're going to lift the shoulders and heart away from the floor, the head away from the floor. So we're supporting ourselves with our elbows. Now for some people, lying on their belly is extension of the spine enough. So really make sure that this feels good. And can you feel that you're not necessarily bending your spine backwards as much as letting it lengthen open? Remember, it's not about how high you fly. Everything, the whole experience of the flight. How's your face? How's it feel on the outside and on the inside? Are you smiling, grimacing, gritting your teeth because you feel you should be doing something else than what your neighbor's doing, for instance? Seen on the latest yoga journal cover. We're all so different and individual in our bodily proportions. And you'll notice a lot of those yoga gymnasts have a very typical body type. Long, lanky, joints that are very loose. And I can tell you that a lot of those early practitioners are having a lot of issues now, pushing the limits. Now let's slowly come down, lower down. So it's like you're laying the beads of that necklace of the upper spine down on the floor, and quite often the fascia and the soft tissues of the back can have a little conversation with you. So bend one knee up and out to the side. Come into half frog pose, and that helps to spread all of those fascial tissues out. Very often gives you an instant relief. Feel the weight of your heavy leg bone dropping down with gravity towards the floor. And let it be more of an energetic than a physical lengthening of the knee away from the center of your body. So your knee may not move at all. It may just be like this feeling of breathing into that leg, and it's almost like a sense of it telescoping out from your center. And then rebounding back. Inside seam of the leg, have its yawn-like experience. And then let that leg come down to beside the other one. Reach that leg long towards the base of the mat, and then engage your glute muscle on that side and float that leg up and away from the floor. Let it telescope out from your center on this side. And then slowly lower it down. And again, it can be an idea as much as a physical practice. And then bend up the other knee, up and out to the side. Let the weight of that big, huge femur bone just let your leg, your pelvis open in this way. Use the breath to inform your soft tissues. Breathe into any areas that feel somehow different, heavy, dull, sensitive. Idea of lengthening the knee away from your center line. Just even imagine it moving like a telescope opening. I think it's a telescope that I'm thinking of. I'm thinking about one of those old-fashioned eyeglasses. Not eyeglasses. I know my husband will know the word. That captains would use in the olden goldens.
Telescope.
Mm-hmm. Is it a telescope? Okay. Yeah. There you go. Spyglass. No?
No, telescope.
All right. Whatever works for you.
If you're feeling like a pirate,
if you're feeling
it's
like
a spyglass.
Exactly. There you go. And then let your knee just relax back and drop back in. Reach it out, telescope it out from your center, and if it wants to lift up, let it lift up. Squeeze that glute to support the leg, and then float the leg down. Bend your knees and let your legs sway side to side, the head roll side to side. Really feel, now you're anchoring your shoulder girdle in this way, and you're letting a party happen from your somatic center down, releasing tension through the waistline. So now reach your arms up on either side of your ears, so your upper arms are hugging your ears. You can cross your wrists if you like, straight overhead. Our elbows long and straight. The arms are straight, so you're reaching towards the center of the room. And then bend your knees and sway the legs from side to side so your pelvis is rolling. This is roly-McPoly. Just got a new name for this. Roly-McPoly. Keep your knees glued together so you can roll all the way up from one side to the other with the legs leading the way and the arms and the upper body coming along for the ride. all the way up on one side. Sometimes you really need to move the legs strongly to help get some momentum going. This is when I wish I could turn the camera on you because you look like you're having so much fun. Adults rolling around on the floor. And roll all the way up onto one side. Pause, curl yourself up into a little seed. And listen to the echo of that movement. So we have a few minutes. You can stay here, you can lie on your back or any comfortable position. If you have a blanket to cover yourself with. It's a little warmer, but it's still not as warm as one would like. We find ourselves in January. Just come to rest. See if you can find that place of just being here now. You might like to park your mind. I find this useful. I like to sit with my inner teacher, let my mind sit with my inner teacher. Organic way. Just begin to let the breath deepen. Nothing dramatic. Allow your experience to ride along the wave of your breath. Easily from side to side. Just feeling the drift of your jaw, even if it's a millimeter or even if it's just in your mind's experience for now. And let the head come to stillness and bring the awareness to your arms. If you're lying on your back, roll your arms in and out. If you're in another position, just a slow invitation to your body to come back to movement, easy movement. And then the legs. And you might like to bring your feet to standing, or you might like to just take a full body stretch and yawn. Slowly make your way up to seated. Rub a little warmth up. Probably warmer than I am. I've been sitting here. My mouth is warm. And let's radiate that warmth, your energy out to one another. Never done that before, but it sure felt good in the moment. So take all that lovely energy and bring it into yourself. Just bring it to your own heart center and be grateful for this opportunity to come together, to be together. And bring the hands apart in that gesture of gratitude and mutual respect. Namaste. Thank you all for your presence, your awareness, your focus.